Good morning. Well, today is Friday, and I was planning to discuss a major issue about the lopsided and suffocating burden of taxation. However, I have been receiving a number of calls, and some of my friends have been saying that I ought to discuss something always about the personal development, the development of personality. It may not be possible to discuss that. But okay, my commitment to them and to you is that every Friday I shall discuss one issue relating to human beings, their development, or such matters which can lead either to the moral or intellectual development of the human beings. I recently published a book, not recently, exactly about 8 months back, Technology of Being Human. And this book was so well taken because it deals with the human beings, how to become a better human being, how to develop your personality. That one lady called me up and said she bought one and then she went out to buy 12 more because she wanted to give one to each of her nephews and nieces. Well, let's not talk of the book, but then one chapter in that book I'll discuss for you today, and that is the art of being different. Long back, when I was a student of 7th class, I read in Reader's Digest an article by the famous Eleanor Roosevelt on the same subject, the art of being different. And the article so impressed me that I adopted it as my own credo. Different not for the sake of being different, different not for standing out, but as an individual having his or her own identity, own entity. You know, animals are known to go in herds. Human beings should not be, though they are. And you would find that we have a parliament of asses, that's what they say, a school of fish, a herd of cattle. But we rarely come across more than one lion in a jungle. He is the king. That's why he is one. Human beings, each human being has a personality which becomes submerged into the norms established by our ancestors, which might have some validity at that time, but today they have no validity. So how to be different? How to be different? You know, when I was a kid, I used to think that if I dress differently, I'll be different. Well, that's one way, but that's a very superficial way. You can be different by thinking differently, thinking in an innovative manner, and acting in an innovative manner. One small example. Here, I have mostly stopped going to the so-called social events because they hardly ever start on time. They are so haphazard. And I'm a punctual to the second. I remember at one time I had gone to an event as a chief guest, and the time was 6 p.m. and we reached at 6 p.m. and they were still setting the chairs. It was a shock to me. I came back. They say punctuality is the quality of princess. So you can be different by being punctual to the second. That's one part only. That is your outward action. But even that outward action will make you stand out as a guy who would never be late, as a guy by whose coming and going you can set your watches. The second way, and the more important way, is to think. Think for yourself. The moment you say, I do this because my teacher says so, my father says so, my elder brother says so, you are not being different. You are being one of the herd. You are more of a cattle than a human being. When you say, I think because of these factors, then you are a human being and you are different. It's not necessary to disagree. It's necessary to have your own identity. And in that identity, you might resemble in some way, but then your basic entity would stand out. And that basic identity is the hallmark of a human being, what we call Homo sapiens. After all, when you go to an animal world, a dog is a dog is a dog. A cat is a cat is a cat, a cow is a cow is a cow. But when you go out, you are John or Richard or Harry. You are Tom, you are Elizabeth, or you are Veronica, you are Kate, and so on. But are you really what your names designate you to be? When I say X, Mr. X has come, it should bring before me the image of that person along with the attributes of that person. More than 99.8% people do not have such attributes. And that is why sometimes I feel that they are not fit to be deemed as part of the humanity, because you see there can be diverse reasons for that. Economic reasons, social reasons, their upbringing, but the need is to come out of those reasons. You know, Bible says, what availeth a man if he wins the whole world but loses his soul? I would like to amend that. What availeth a man, and when I say man, I include the woman, if he gets everything but loses himself or herself? This sense of self is extremely important. And, you know, another example, people call me an egoist. They say I'm a very proud man. And my response to them is, yes, I'm proud. After all, only that person can be proud who has something to be proud of. A beautiful girl is proud of her beauty. A powerful person is proud of his power. A conqueror is proud of his warrior skills. A scientist is proud of his inventions. A writer is proud of his writing skills. A speaker is proud of his capability to project his speech and his ideas and in an arresting manner. So if somebody has some special attribute and he is not proud of those attributes, then there is something wrong somewhere. You know, all these people who say humility, that's fine. Pride does not mean that you look down on others. Now, this is a very important distinction. When you are different, that does not mean you are better than others are. As human beings, all are equal. That's a given. But we go to a garden and there are flowers, and flowers are flowers. But a rose is a rose. A pansy is a pansy. A gardenia is a gardenia. A vinca is a vinca. So when we typify a flower, it remains still a flower, but with special attributes. And that is what the human beings are. They remain as human beings with special attributes. And it's your job as human beings to ensure that your attributes are not immersed in the commonality of the people. You have seen, you can go to any concert, any cinema show, comic show, or whatever, and you will see that one person laughs and the others would also laugh, whether that laugh is called for or is not called for. Why? Have you seen when the standing ovation is done, people are clapping and all of a sudden one person stands up and everybody follows suit? This is one example of rat race. Now, why indulge in rat race? Rat race is meant for rats. You are not a rat. And as a human being, if you are not a rat, how do you differentiate from other human beings? This act of differentiation is extremely important. And it's an art. It has to be developed. It has to be developed consciously. It has to be developed in a very painstaking manner. There will be periods when the people would say, well, what you are doing doesn't appeal. It goes against whatever we have learned in the life. So the first process in being different is to unlearn what you have learned. And once you start the process of unlearning, then the process of learning would start. The first thing is unlearn. Second thing is identify your strengths. Third step would be build up on those strengths. No strength and no attribute of any human being is worth dismissing. And every human being has one or the other attributes which is outstanding. But however, we people, all of us mostly, go by the LCM, least common denominator. When we go by LCM, the least common denominator, it is just like that you find where you can mix with others rather than stand out. You know, law of averages is stupid. It is just like saying you put your feet in fridge and your head in oven and you say you are in a comfortable position because the average is comfortable. But your feet will have frostbite and your head would be baked. So, first thing is understanding that you are an individual, you are a human being. You are a superior species to belong to that. Then identify what your attributes are. Then start cultivating those attributes. Like an artist working on a 2-inch ivory, work on those attributes, develop them, let them come out in full relief, and then stand committed to those attributes. Unless you are committed about those attributes, all this talk of being different, of being a human being, of being an outstanding person is bullshit. I fully agree that not everybody can be different, because if everybody is different, then we will have 7 billion different people. And then again we will be in search of a common factor. But the leaders are always less. So you have got to be innovative. And if you don't have an attribute which can outstand you, be innovative to identify. You know, Walter at one time said, if there is no God, it's desirable to invent one. So if you have no attribute, develop one. Invent one and develop one. And once you are different, you would find that you are a human being. You are not a cattle. You don't belong to that category of animals who have no identity. And that will give you a boost of self-confidence. And self-confidence is the bedrock of all progress. So here you are, friends. Be prepared. Be prepared to be yourself. Be prepared to be unafraid of being different. That should be your hallmark. Hallmark as a human being. Thank you.